XRP has seen its fair share of volatility recently, and I still see the market being more volatile in the coming weeks. However, I want to spend a little bit of time today just talking about kind of the market in general, XRP, and I think its long-term projections as to where I think things could be heading. Hi and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick. If you're new here, why don't you go ahead and give us a subscribe. If you do find today's content useful, informative, maybe even entertaining, go ahead and smash that like button, guys. I really do appreciate it. So let's get right down into the subject matter of today's video, right? We're going to be talking a little bit around XRP. I talk about kind of what's going on from that kind of legal side all the way through to what's going on from like a speculative investment point of view. We'll also talk about the market, people's expectations on the market, whether or not we should be fearful, whether we should be selling our assets off, or whether or not, now is the time to kind of be accumulating and buying, at least from my humble opinion. It's probably worth noting as we kind of get into today's walk and talk video that obviously I am no financial advisor. I can't give you financial advice. All I can do is share my thoughts and opinions basically on the data, in the charts and in the news, and share where I think things are heading. So let's get into today's video then. So XRP, obviously the price action's been volatile, right? We've seen the price move up and down. We've seen it kind of liquidating out the long positions, the short positions, all the kind of usual stuff that you would expect to kind of see in the market, right? Specifically as kind of like a market leader, Bitcoin has been doing very much the same thing. Now, with all of this stuff that goes on, in terms of, price moving up, then dumping down, or dumping down, then moving up and reversing on people when they kind of get their positions opened, we have to kind of consider that actually there's a long-term aspect to this, right? A lot of short-term traders out there, a lot of influencers are telling you kind of, what's going on the shorter to medium term. They're not necessarily giving you that kind of macro view picture that you need to know about, which is, to say that things on the long term are bullish is an understatement, because they are really bullish on a macro scale, right? But before we can kind of talk about aspirations for XRP and where XRP could be going, we should probably first reflect on what a lot of people have been kind of talking about recently for the short and the medium term in the general market, right? Because we do have to kind of consider that everything that's been going on most recently does have an impact over XRP, over the general market, right? So the first thing we need to kind of address is that a lot of influencers, whether they're on TikTok, whether they're on YouTube, Twitter, they've kind of been very bearish in the last 1 week or so, right? Actually bullish, last week they were bullish, this week they've been bearish, right? They're kind of flipping and flopping. Something that we get accused of quite a lot on the channel, even though we're not, we just talk about the different time frames and the different ways to approach the market. A lot of people were incredibly bullish 1 week ago when Bitcoin bounced up to $65,000. And I still remain very true to what I've been saying for a while, and that is that we were expecting a kind of relief rally bounce before we go down even further. Okay, and here we are today, at point of recording, back in that $60,000 Bitcoin, and of course the rest of the altcoins bled out again, and we see, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. So a lot of people were kind of telling everyone, bull market's back on, and it's time to kind of go long on the market. And unfortunately, as a result of that, you tend to find that a lot of people got wrecked because the market reversed on them once again. And again, of those influences typically then flip back to the bearish state of play, because that's kind of all they can see, what's happening at that particular moment. They don't tend to have that foresight to see the longer term. Not everyone, because there are some pockets of some great analysts out there in the space. And then of course you've just got people who are entertaining, right? And the entertainers are the ones that typically only tell you kind of what's happening at the moment, and not giving you the idea of kind of what is going to happen next based on various actual technical indicators and macroeconomics and things like that. So knowing that the market has kind of done the opposite of what a lot of influencers were telling you a week ago, it's interesting, right? Now, a lot of people got wrecked in that, but it is, of course, presenting itself with the opportunity. And I talk about this all the time as well, because let's just take XRP as the example, as the purpose of today's video, right? The opportunity is to accumulate as much XRP as you possibly can during these kind of moments of volatility as price pushes back. Now, I still expect, of course, the price action of XRP to drop down even further. I don't think we're done yet. And I kind of went through this in the last technical analysis video that I put out on XRP. We are still expecting a bit of a move to the downside. We're expecting to kind of move into that lower range of accumulation. We do obviously have areas where we're looking to find support and we're wanting support to kind of hold out. But, you know, for the next few weeks, I'm quite happy to see XRP bleed out. And the reason for this is that I'm looking for areas of great accumulation ahead of the next big surge to the upside, right? Which, of course, when it starts talking about price appreciation in the longer term, it's hard to not talk about what's going on with the SEC and Ripple, right? Because that's going to be a key driver in the price appreciation from a speculative investment point of view. Now, there are many examples of what the SEC have done over the years, going after various different cryptocurrencies for the fact of trying to call them securities, right? Even though we know that the Howey test is not a great fit for digital assets. Nonetheless, what we have seen historically, and if we just take the Kick Interactive case, Kick Interactive was accused of securities fraud by the SEC. They were basically found guilty and were basically told that the KIN token is in fact a security. Now, after that, and after paying a really small fine to the SEC, what happened to the price action? It rose by thousands upon thousands upon thousands of percent. What does this tell us? Well, it tells us that the market doesn't generally care whether something is or is not a security. What the market cares about is having a guideline or a set of frameworks to be working towards. What they can't have is uncertainty, right? Uncertainty is really difficult to work with. It's a gamble. And we don't like gambling. We like educated decisions, right? That's kind of what we try to do as traders. Okay, we try to make educated decisions based on probability, right? And so when you have something that has a classification of a security or not a security, it gives you a framework to be working towards. It gives you chances to be more educated in your decision-making capabilities rather than just, speculation and pure gambling. So when this case comes to a close, and I've said this from 2020 all the way to now in 2024, it doesn't matter whether or not XRP is classified as a security or whether it is classified as a non-security. I personally believe it is not a security, and I guess the judges kind of already said this as well, in the way that it's not fair to kind of be saying to the world that sales on the secondary markets are security sales, because it's really too difficult to actually do that. To kind of say that secondary sales are securities is a very, very much far-reaching, right? It's a stretch for the SEC to be able to do that. Now, the institutional sales, yeah, I get that. You could probably argue that institutional level sales could be, but again, it doesn't fit to the Howey test. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how it kind of comes together. I still believe that we'll see settlement over anything else, and this is simply because I don't think the SEC could afford for this case to be ending in any other way than a win or a settlement. And my rationale to this is quite simple. If the SEC lose, then their ability to go after other cryptocurrency firms, other Web3 firms, is essentially void, because this can then be used as an example, right? So this is a key case not only for Ripple, but also for the SEC. It's critical, in fact, that the SEC actually do not lose it if they want to kind of continue to kind of attack the Web3 space. Now, on the flip of that, Ripple is critically important to the entire Web3 industry for the opposite effect, right? We want Ripple to win because it means that the SEC are going to be seriously hindered in their ability to attack the Web3 space. So a Ripple win is a win for all crypto. This is very important. Whether you like XRP or not, it's very important that we understand that we really do, in terms of the Web3 industry, need Ripple to win. A settlement will kind of be very neutral, unfortunately. I don't see it having a huge impact in preventing the SEC from going after many other players in the Web3 space. So although a settlement would be a win for Ripple to a degree, a $3 billion settlement fee is not, of course, or $1 billion, whatever it was. Let's face it, isn't going to happen. I think, if I were Brad Garlinghouse, I'd want to take this thing the distance. I want to take it all the way and get a win for the entire space. But we'll see how that kind of unfolds. And of course, this all then brings me on to, the speculation part of where do we see the long-term vision, right? The long-term vision is something that we often talk about on the channel quite a bit because, that's kind of what we are. We're retail investors talking about buying, hodling, and then when the time comes, liquidating, not kind of swinging in and out all the time and trying to basically, maximize every single potential move. We're all about dollar cost averaging, building the long-term wealth plan. And so it's hard to do that without kind of speculating on the future price appreciation. And we've been talking about this since 2020 when this lawsuit was dropped as to kind of where we think we might actually find XRP going in the longer term. Now, I know there's lots of different price predictions out there for XRP. You've got the 10, 20, 50, 100, $589, $1,000, $10,000, right? The list kind of goes on. Where do I sit with this? Well, my view hasn't really changed over the years, and it's because it's based on technical analysis. And it does look like we're going to range somewhere between that kind of $5 to $12 range, right? That is going to be the area where, in my opinion, we're likely to find the maximum amount of resistance that's going to keep the price down. Now, there's a few things with that that might prevent it, but we might be able to kind of look at the market and say, actually, we are going to be moving up more aggressively than maybe we were first anticipating, right? So the conservative target that I have is between $5 and $12. And this is based on, what's going on from the buying behaviors that we've seen over the last, 5, 6, 7 years, right? Those behaviors tell me that we're likely to find heavy resistance at that kind of $5 to $12. Now, that's no guarantee that that's where it goes, and that's just probability. The other part to this, the other thing that we just need to consider is that maybe, just maybe, there's more utility coming to the XRP token, and as such, those price predictions are too small, right? That's a possibility. Although those are unknown and therefore have a lower probability of occurring, in my opinion. Now, I've been through a lot of the banking project plans with Chris, and we've seen, RippleNet being utilized by a lot of different banks. The idea of CBDCs, the idea of cross-border payments, all of these fantastic things are possibilities, but we've got nothing set in stone as a guarantee, okay? Just because these project plans exist and just because trials have been actioned doesn't necessarily mean that XRP is the chosen one. So, although it's possible that we do see a big magic button pushed and all of a sudden, the price of XRP starts soaring up towards $1,000, fantastic, I'm always going to have exposure for that. But I think it's also very important to lock in profits on this journey to the upside, in my humble opinion. Now, you can let me know what your thoughts are on all of this in the comments below. Do you agree with my thinking here that, XRP is definitely an asset to have exposure to on the back of this case? We've seen the Kik Interactive case, the KIN token do thousands of % in gains after we saw settlement, after we saw a classification of the token. You can let me know your thoughts on XRP. Do you think we're going to see thousands upon thousands of % in gains once we kind of get that settlement, or once we kind of get that case put to bed? You can also smash this like button if you found it useful, informative, entertaining. And if you're new to the channel, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? And if you haven't done so already, guys, why don't you check out this video right here where we're discussing what's going on with Cardano's ADA.